I've just gotten out here in the middle of nowhere, which is one of my favorite places in the neighborhood, and I realized I did not pack my microphone, so I'm using my phone to record the sound. I'm just holding it right here. I hope it's going to be fine. And it just started raining ever so slightly, so it's very moody, very nice. And please don't mind the light because it's changing. It's very sunny but cloudy day, so the clouds are moving along the sky quite fast. So I will, just bear with me. So welcome to the second episode of Wonder Club. My name is Nika and I'm an artist living in Iceland, and Wonder Club is a place where I share the monthly wonders of my world. Think of it as your peaceful inspiration well. Think of it as just two kids sharing their favorites. I invite you to share your monthly wonders in the comments if you feel so inclined. And in the beginning, I would like to also acknowledge just how grateful and how surprised also I was with your response to my first episode. There were so many for me, wonderful warm messages and comments and shares. I'm feeling really grateful for that, and it makes me feel motivated to come out to you with the second episode of this series. So what I'd like to start this episode with is a little bit about the intention, defining the intention that I have behind creating this series. So there is a quote that I've come across maybe like a month ago by Joan Harris. It says, "The trick to being a writer is to make everyday stories seem surprising." So kind of derived from that, I've tried to pinpoint the intention that I had behind creating this series, and I wrote down that the intention is to go deeper into the most ordinary of moments and see how much one can find there. It is something that I do quite naturally, going deeper into kind of the everyday moments and living slowly, perhaps without really wanting to. But I would like to do it with more awareness, and especially since moving out here, I've been kind of hitting, maybe not a wall, but this point where people often ask me, people move out here and ask me, what do you do here? It's a very small town. It's very much lots of just lava fields, and it could be a big difference moving from a city, from a European city, from anywhere. And I never really asked myself that question. It comes naturally to me, so I felt that perhaps that's something worth exploring and worth taking a closer look at. What does she do all day, So let's just get straight into it. The theme of today's episode is a bit bookish, but word heavy as well. And my first wonder that I would like to mention is simply reading the paper. Now, what I mean by that is, I was in London about a week ago, and I've seen quite a few people still reading the paper, the A5 size big printed paper, on the metro, just in the cafe. Yeah, seeing these people reading these huge A5 papers just seemed very romantic, nostalgic to me, and it reflected this feeling that I had about reading the paper myself, which I hadn't read it in paper form in quite a long time. But that brings me to the specific aspect of this first wonder, which is about a different access point when it comes to reading the paper. And it is free, for most part. A library. So what I do is, my library here has an app, and it is an app that many libraries can use. So perhaps yours, where you live, also has access to that one, where you sign in with your library details, and then you can see that you can rent books and audiobooks and all that, but then also you can see the subscriptions that the library has, which for mine it's things like Vogue, Country Living, like anything basically, of all sorts of level of papers. And you can rent that, or you can subscribe within the app. And then in the app, there's a shelf called Magazine Rack. And then every month, it just comes to your section of the app. So you don't even have to remember to find it. And I just found that so wonderful. So it's a beautiful way to access these things, also in a modern way and in a free way, in an accessible way. So what I do sometimes when I don't want to scroll, I don't want to watch a show, or I don't want to talk while eating breakfast, I would just pull up the paper on a device. For me, that would be my iPad or phone. And I just read the paper with breakfast, and it's a wonderful feeling. So that's what I wanted to share. And that brings me to the second wonder, which is also connected to the paper, but it is more closely about deriving inspiration or looking for inspiration. So finding inspiration in a way, in a limited way, by looking for it in a paper, in a magazine. So having access to this curated selection pieces of art. Basically, if you look at Japanese Vogue, or Chinese Vogue, Taiwanese Vogue, all of these, the level is immaculate. Even though it is, the way I look at it, it is mostly advertisement, but it's done so beautifully. And there is something I would like to bring up about this limited way of working. So this is a book I was recommended. It is called Free Play, Improvisation in Life and Art. Do not judge the cover. This is for me, that's a prime example of not judging a book by its cover. I was quite mad at this book for most of the time reading it, but I'll circle back to that. But there are some helpful things that I really liked. And in this chapter called The Power of Limits, there is a section I would like to read. If certain values are constrained within narrow limits, others are free to vary more strongly. If you have all the colors available, you are sometimes almost too free. With one dimension constrained, play becomes freer in other dimensions. And when they talk about play, they talk about creating art. And so what I mean by that, if we constrain, if we give ourselves limits for our creation, for example, using only certain colors, or starting a project and deciding I will take inspiration only for this month Chinese Vogue, or I don't know, only for the magazines, it brings this other dimension to our work, and it makes it more interesting, and it makes us, in a way, by being limited, more free, and it makes it playful and also quite relaxed to know the limits of what you can use, and by that feel limitless. Because there isn't an infinite amount of things that you could do there's only that amount and this is what you take from. I find it soothing in a way, I don't know. So I've used exactly that way to find our third wonder of this month, which actually it found me because I was just exploring, reading the paper with my breakfast, and then I found this editorial. It's called Ready for Boarding. It is this editorial mostly focused on accessories, and it is very heavily airport themed. It is using these X-ray images of suitcases, of accessories. Yeah, that very private, public space, moment and time that we all go through when we're on the airport. But before I go deeper into the project, I want to mention my slight fascination with airports. I've always been fascinated with the airport lore, the kind of in-betweenness that's going on there. It is sort of a similar concept to waiting on a bus stop, being on a bus. Perhaps being on a bus is a bit different because we're actually moving from A to B. But an airport is, or waiting in a line, it is this moment in time and space that we're kind of neither here or there. And there's specific rules in place. And it's also a foreign place, but it's also everybody's place. And I don't know, I've just always been fascinated about how it would be to work there. And so here I am working there. And I do consider this job a hobby of mine, and my artistic practice and everything else the main struggle and pain of my life. So it is a bit flipped rather than the usual way of looking at things. But coming back, I have this fascination with airports. And also the second thing, in my artistic practice, I've always described it as scanned objects. I've loved using scanners. I have used scanners in when I worked as a film editor. I mean, a film photo editor in Scanner. But so that's one part of it. But then another part of it, I've always loved working with scanners and scanning. Perhaps like packaging, tickets, journal entries, photo booth pictures. It's for me something so wonderful to again be able to go into, there we go, we're coming back to the same theme, going deeper, this time literally going so deep into very usual, very everyday items, just exploring the way it's printed. I've loved doing that, and I've loved the aesthetic of it. And this, for me, these airport scanners, the X-ray, that is another level of that. And I would like to read, translated from, I believe, Chinese, a little description of the editorial. It's on the first page that when it starts. So I've used Google Translate to translate this, so it will be a little funky, but I just still found it really beautiful. So I will read it exactly how it translated. During a journey, my suitcase carries not only beloved things I picked up along the way, but also the joyful mood of satisfaction. For example, the wonderful image of you under the X-ray during the security check makes all the hidden hearts and thoughts come to light. A tour of good things every time. I just found it absolutely beautiful. And in a way, the funkiness of the translation feels to me as if it was the X-ray machine's interview response to what they like about their job. Like, it's a machine, so it will be a little funky, speaking in the human language, but it is still the heart of it, that the wonderful image of you under the X-ray makes all the hidden hearts and thoughts come to light. That is so true and so beautiful. So on these images, I don't know if they use the actual X-ray scanners that they use at the airport, but it looks wonderful. The composition, the intricacy of this kind of image. And then you also have these trays that you place your items into. And the colors, I believe it was shot on film, or it's pretending to be, because the colors of the positive images, they're kind of film looking. So yeah, that completely captured my heart as the third wonder of this month. And for my fourth wonder, I'd like to come back to books. And I've had to rearrange my camera a little bit because it had a problem. So the angle might be a bit different now. And what I'd like to focus on here is the way that one can be with a book. And what I mean by that is, especially when you buy your books, when you buy the physical copies, I don't just mean the holding the paper or smelling the book. Some people love that. Some people. But what I mean exactly is how wonderful and tangible and really real it feels to be with a book in a way where you can, when you have the physical copy, you can annotate it, you can dedicate it to yourself. You can write an intention in the beginning of the book. You can be talking to it, you can be drawing in it, decorating it, signing it, dedicate it to future generations, get 2 copies of a book, the same book, annotate it, let your friend annotate it, then exchange them, read it again with their points of view. I mean, that must be one of the most wonderful ways to be with a book, to be really with the physical nature of it. And for me, I found that it works best, with a book that makes you angry, because you can be angry at it back. And you can talk to it, you can have a conversation and feel less bad about continuing to read something that makes you angry. I don't know, I found it helpful. And also with a book that you find you can relate to massively, or you find yourself just renewed by in a way. So today I have 2 books like that. One of them is the one that I've shown you before, and this one for the most part made me angry. I will not be focusing on the contents or recommendations of the books, but I want to show you how it looks like when a book makes you angry. So that will be like one of the most basic pages. You can see the amount of highlighting and responding to it. There's arrows, there's questions that remain unanswered. But I just find, when I look at this, especially from the perspective of time, if I look at this book, even now, it's been a few good months since I first read it. If I look at it in a few years, that's amazing. That's going to be so fun. And it looks like I've been in it. I've been here. I've been inside. It's been in my head. There was an interaction. That's what it looks like when the book makes you angry. Whoop. And then another one, this book, that one could be a wonder of its own, but I want to perhaps include that and talk more about that when I finish it. But let me show you how it looks like when you love a book. So when you love a book, for example, this one has a dedication intro intention in the front. And I've made little drawings. I'm using a light highlighter, a gray one. And it just feels so soft to be with that book. And I think I highlight things mostly that I can relate to or find beautiful. It is a overall very soft and beautiful experience. Yes, here I mostly make observations on things that the book made me thought of connecting it to other things I appreciate. So yeah, and it's a very simple, you don't have to curate it. There's a heart in that one. Yeah, it's a different way to be with a book, but they're both a way that makes me feel that it's a one step further than just reading. And it makes me feel just a little bit more alive in a way. So I wanted to share that one. And here we are at the number 5, which for now I guess have decided that would be the number of wonders. A good book wouldn't be quite complete with some good tea that comes with it. And it also dawned on me that I have not included the featured tea that I've had in the first episode. I've put it in the description box, but I didn't name it in the video. So this time I'm dedicating the last wonder to this deliciously simple black tea. And let me grab it also, because it is somewhere here. All right, so that one, they call her Cocoa Malt Queen or Jinjun Mei, and I got it in London. It is incredibly smooth and very easy to deal with if you're a kind of a tea enthusiast beginner. On the back here there's different kinds of brewing instructions, and also the pouch itself is reusable. You can remove the stickers here and use it for anything you'd like. And by the mention of that, the co-sharer of this section must be the wonderful tea house that I've got this in. It's called Mayleaf, located in Camden. They really know their stuff and are super helpful to any newbies. It is also connected to this Chinese medicine center, so definitely even more of a reason to check it out if you have the lucky chance to be in London. So closing with that tea, thank you for watching and thank you for spending your time with me. And I hope to see you in the next one. If you have any monthly favorites, feel free please to share at least one in the comments. I'd be happy to hear what have you been enjoying in life. Thank you.